So here we're going to solve equations related to percents by setting it up as a proportion. Now, if we have, let's say, 30%, we could write it as a fraction or a ratio, 30 over 100. Now, suppose we have, which of the following, let's look at this, which of the following is a percent proportion? So when you look at this equation, we have a ratio on the left is equal to a ratio on the right, which is the same as saying a fraction on the left equals a fraction on the right. So 30 over 100 equals 120 over 400. This is definitely a proportion, but what makes it a percent proportion is that one of the sides is a percent. 30 over 100 is nothing but a 30%. Now this, the way it's given, it's not a percent proportion. 25 over 50 may or may not be equal to 18 over 36. We have to check by cross multiplying, but there is no percent on either side. The left side doesn't have 100 in the denominator. The right side does not have 100 in the denominator, so it's not a percent proportion. So let's look at this. Identify the amount, the base, and the P value, and then set up a percent proportion. So 15 pounds is 25% of 60 pounds. We have to check if that is true. So what we'll do is we'll set up a proportion. A ratio on the left equals ratio on the right. One of the sides is definitely going to be the 25%. So 25 per 100 is 25%. Equals, now let's read the question. 15 pounds is part of the total of 60 pounds. So the part is 15, the whole is 60. So the amount is 15 and the base is 60. So same thing. So P over 100 is equal to amount over base. Even if you don't know what these words mean, that's exactly what you're setting up. So we are saying that 15 pounds is part of 60 pounds. The base value or the reference value is 60, and that sits in the denominator. 15 is part of it. So the fraction of the whole is 15 over 60. So if you cross multiply or simplify both sides, you'll see that the two sides are equal. 25 goes once into 25, 25 goes 4 times into 100, 15 goes once into 15, 15 times 4 is 60, or simply cross multiply. So this is a valid proportion. 14% of 600 is 84. So 14 per 100, that's 14%, is equal to, now 14% of the whole is 84. So 14% is the same as 84 out of 600. So this is the base or the reference amount. 84 is considered a fraction of the base amount. So this is your the base, and this is your amount, and this is your P% on the left. So you can always check. So this is the P over 100. So what we've set up is P over 100 is equal to amount over base. So you don't have to think of this or memorize it, but if you can set it up using logic, that'll be much better. Now we can always check if this is a correct statement. You go 14 and then over 100 is equal to 84 over 600. So let's say 6 goes into 100 6 times, 100 times, sorry. And then if we divide 84 by 6, 6 ones is 6, 6 fours are 24. We cancel the 6's and we get 14 over 100. So both sides are equal. We can always check that. 32 books out of 2,000 books is 1.6%. So we're given a percent. Put that on one side. Percent is always written over 100. And that is equal to, so let's just go over this again. So this is 14%, 14 over 100 is equal to 14% of a total of 600. The total or the reference value sits in the denominator, and 84 is considered a part of 600, so it sits in the numerator. It's called the amount. And then we can always check by simplifying both sides. 14 over 100 is equal to 6 goes into a 600 100 times. So 600 is 6 times 100. 84 is 6 times 14. The 6's cancel and you have 14 over 100 is equal to a 14 over 100. So both sides are equal. Now we look at the next one. 1.6%, 32 books out of 2,000. So 32 books out of a total of 2,000. So the 2,000 is the base, 32 is the amount, is equal to 1.6%. 1.6% is 1.6 over 100. Now I simplify both sides. That's another way. Instead of cross multiplying, we could just simplify both sides. 1.6 over 100. I'm going to get rid of decimals by multiplying the numerator and denominator by 100. And that's how I get 16 by shifting the decimal point one place value to the right over 1,000 equals 32 over 2,000. So that is 16 times 2 is 32. The denominator is 2 times 1,000. And when I simplify both sides, or rather one side, I can show that 16 over 1,000 equals 16 over 1,000. Both sides are equal. So that tells us that it is a valid proportion. Okay, now we're going to solve these percents. What is 35% of 412? So we set up a percent proportion. 35 over 100. That's the percent which goes on one side, equals, we don't know what this is. So X is part or a percent of the whole. So this sits at the bottom. And this would be X. So a part of 412 is the same as 35 parts out of 100. So what we've set up is a percent proportion. Now, if we read this sentence, X is equal to 35% of, so times a fraction of the whole. That's just another way of solving the exact same equation. How do we solve this percent proportion? We cross multiply to get 35 times 412 equals 100 times X. And then the final answer we get by dividing both sides. So 35 times 412 over 100. And we divide both sides by 100. Cancel. to get x equals 35 times 412 over 100. Now we can multiply these two together and divide by 100. So let's do the multiplication. 412 times 35. It's easy to divide by 100, so I'm just doing the multiplication. 5 times 2 is 10, 5 ones are 5, 6, 5 times 4 is 20, 3 2s are 6, 3 1s are 3, 4 3s are 12, 0, 6 plus 6 is 12, that becomes a 4, that is a 4, that's a 1. Now I have to divide 14420 over 100, and that's how I get an x. And cancel the zeros and shift the decimal point one place value to the left, so I get 144.2. What is 35% of 412? 144.2 is 35% of 412. If I solved it using this equation, do you see that it would be exactly the same answer? So these are just two different ways of setting up the exact same equation to get the exact same answer.